Hello, football fans. Me and the guys are getting ready to talk football, and more football. Hi everyone, I am Erica Renee Davis and you are watching This Week in Football. We're here with our fabulous, handsome co-host, Cody Swann and Mo Ali. And can't forget about our chat jockey, Darren Dodge, in the chat room.
Yeah.
Make sure you send him lots of messages. Keep him busy over there. So today we're going to be talking about what went down last night. We will recap all the Sunday games, and we're going to add our Ask a Bookie segment with Weaze. But first, big thanks to Storm on Demand. They are the reason that you can watch This Week in Football. All right, we're going to talk to Weaze right away. Let's get Weaze on the phone. Weaze. Oh. Weaze.
He's disgusted by my picks.
Yeah, he likes your picks.
So we're supposed to have Weaze on the phone for our Ask a Bookie segment, but I think that we have lost Weaze.
Try to give him a call?
Yeah, let's give him a call. Weaze?
Oh, he had a baby.
I know.
No telling what's happening to him right now. I mean, he could.
Dude, he'll stay on all night for your picks.
Hi, guys. So we do have Weaze with us for our Ask a Bookie segment. Weaze, we thought that we lost you, but you're there, right?
I am here.
All right. So.
By the way, I'm on fire.
You're on fire.
Yeah, he's on fire.
I think it's more Cody's drowning.
Hey, come on now. Come on. Let's. I gotta lock this week.
Did you see those picks last week?
What's that?
Did you see those picks?
Okay, so basically last week some of Cody's picks were a little bit off, and Weaze tried.
One. Let's not say some. Let's say
Weaze
one
tried
of
to
my
tell
picks
us that we were, I guess, being a little bit wishful or not thinking we were choosing our teams last week, but we didn't listen to him. I backed up Cody. Cody backed up me. Weaze, where did we go wrong last week on our picks?
Are we going to start with college or are we going to start with the NFL?
Let's start with college.
College, Cody came through again for everyone. He made it 3 straight weeks in a row, picking a favorite where the favorite lost on the field. I actually went back just to listen to the show, and I remember telling the viewers, Baylor money line, and I think Erica agreed with me, was the play last week, and I think if my math is correct, Cody's down 220 on the year, going 0 for 3 so far.
Yeah, Mo's sitting here looking like he wants to beat me till the white meat shows.
Yeah, actually, I'm down 220. Cody's just along for the ride. Actually, I'm along for the ride.
Yeah, but we had a conversation before. If I'm wrong this week, we'll switch it over and I'll start putting up my own money. You know, I could be hustling you though. You never know.
Yeah, that would just be wrong. Like I could imagine you lose this week and next week you just go on a winning streak. That would be the most. Oh man.
Okay.
Anyways, let's.
Okay, so Weaze, how about moving on to some college picks for this upcoming weekend? Give us some good picks for this weekend so we can win lots of money and bring down the house.
I stick to the NFL with my picks, but I look forward to hearing Cody's picks, and I have the lines ready for him. So. Cody, which game are you looking at in the college football this week?
Yeah, so this week I'm looking at Rice at Tulsa. I think it was opening. Tulsa was opening 18-point favorites, and now they're down to 17-point favorites. I think that's right.
I still show Tulsa as an 18-point favorite.
Even better. So I think I don't like Rice. I don't like Rice on the field, but I think they're gonna. I think they'll get within 18. I think it'll be like a 10-point game. You know, Tulsa's coming off that. Pretty much a program-making win for them at Notre Dame. And, you know, Rice has been playing some really tough competition this year. They've played Baylor. They've played Texas. They've been a lot more competitive than everyone realizes. They've got a pretty serviceable quarterback. But more so, I just like, you know, in college, I like looking for programs to come off a big letdown. And sort of that huge win in South Bend last week for Tulsa, I think, is going to be Tulsa's downfall here. And like I said, I think Tulsa will win the game. This is a conference game for both of them, both major powers in Conference USA, but I think it'll be closer than the 18 points.
It's like every week. come with these justifications, and these, theses of why this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And every week it's the same story, but yeah, I got faith in you, so.
Well, okay, so there's one, I got my Lulu on like I always wear for the show, but I am wearing makeup this week, so that is different.
I like the makeup.
Something different.
I like the makeup, though.
I'm thinking about switching my name to Jane Swann instead of Cody Swann, but, that is something different that I'm bringing to the show this week, so maybe the makeup will carry over.
If it's makeup, that's what gets you to win, I'll send over a makeup kit to your house personally.
All right, done.
Okay, so Weaze, let's move on to a really great NFL pick for this weekend that you think that if we go with your advice, we'll win some big money. So who do you have for the NFL this week? What's your advice? We're listening.
I have a couple games in the NFL for the week. First one, we're going to go back to Old Glory, your Steelers. And I remember last week you guys were telling me when I picked the Saints. I think everyone disagreed with me. And
well, Darren actually was agreeing with you last week. He picked the Saints over the Steelers. Remember, he had his white jersey on. We were like, why do you have the Saints jersey on?
Because they're going to win.
He was right. We were wrong. And you were also correct.
All right. So did you guys get the correct record for me this year? Last week, I saw that I was 2 for 3 for the year. But I think I've given out 4 straight winners to make my record. 4 wins, 1 loss, and 2 ties for the year.
We fixed that. Relax there on your high horse. We fixed it. You're good to go. You're winning. You're doing great.
Okay.
I just keep going. I like hearing that, Mo. I like hearing it. But first game is Pittsburgh at Cincinnati Monday night.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, exactly. Pittsburgh's a 4.5-point favorite. 3rd week in a row on the road. Cincinnati, home dog, Monday night, throw out everything they did the past season. You will get Cincinnati's best game, and plus the 4.5 points. God's makers haven't realized Pittsburgh is overrated. I called it 2 weeks ago against the Dolphins. I called it last week against New Orleans, and I'm going to ride against Pittsburgh till the Lions catch up correctly. So Cincy plus 4.5 is the first pick.
Okay.
Now, Weaze, is this? I don't think it's the odds makers that have Pittsburgh overrated. I think it's the public that is driving those lines for the Steelers. I mean, I don't know. The public has this fascination with the Steelers pretty much because they've got this persona as a hard-nosed team and riding that Super Bowl victory recently. I just think there's a misperception among the public. Do you think that line's coming from the public, or do you think the odds makers actually think that Pittsburgh's that good?
I think it's a combination that they think Pittsburgh is good, but they know that Pittsburgh is a public team where whether if they put the line 3 or 4.5, the public's still going to bet Pittsburgh, so they might as well put it a little bit higher.
Right,
That's smart. Well, really quickly, Weaze, can you give us one more pick for this weekend, NFL? Who's your second pick for us so we can win
NFL, let's talk Dallas at Green Bay.
Dallas at Green Bay.
Green Bay's an 8.5-point favorite. Green Bay was my other pick from last week, where I think I gave them against the Jets, and they look pretty good, shutting out the Jets 9-0. I'm actually going to go against Green Bay, take Dallas plus the 8.5 points. I know everyone probably listening thinking I'm crazy, but Dallas offense started to click. Green Bay, even though they shut out the Jets, defense isn't the greatest all year. They had one great game, and I thought they would last week. Coming off a tough victory in New York, I think a little bit of a letdown. 8.5 points, a lot of points in the NFL. Green Bay probably wins by a field goal.
Wow. I'm going to have to disagree with that. I'm going to say 1-7 for the Cowboys next week. Jerry Jones has already predicted 1-7. I'm going to go ahead and say that he has something in his mind that he knows that we don't know.
I think the Cowboys lose on the field, but 8.5, 9 points is a big margin to cover. And I don't think Green Bay does that. It's a rivalry game. I don't see Green Bay beating them by that much. I mean, I do think that Dallas is cooked on the field, but I think they'll cover the point.
It's done. You got Cody taking the same bet as you, so
that means you're going to lose.
Green Bay's going to cover. Green Bay's covering. It's a done deal.
Cody's been good with his picks. It's when
I have been. The NFL's been good. I've been good on the NFL.
Okay.
Well, we will check back in with you next week, Weaze. Thank you, and we hope that we all win big money based on your suggestions. We're going to hold you to these now.
I hope so. Hope we get a lot of listeners and the word spreads. The Weaze is on fire. Everyone needs to tune in every Tuesday night.
That's right. The Weaze is on fire.
Un fuego,
Have
baby.
a good night. See ya.
See ya.
Later, Weaze. You know, by the way, my dad. I was talking with my dad today, and he pointed out there was some article in the paper today that Vegas has been profitable every single week this year. Which I thought that Vegas had a week where they were around even, but I guess they've made out pretty good this year, which is kind of surprising given the sort of Armageddon we've seen on the field with the standings so close and teams flip-flopping from week to week. But this has been a pretty good year for Vegas.
Well, that's how they work. I mean, the favorites have been losing a lot this year.
Right.
The NFL is all over the place, so that's how they make money when there's much chaos and uncertainty.
Well, let me tell you who's going to be really uncertain right now. Randy Moss. Randy Moss, as you guys already know, has been released or waived by the Vikings. Are we surprised? Are we disappointed? Are we happy? Do we not care? Are we indifferent? I mean, what do you guys think about him being waived?
Well, I mean, look, on a personal level, I think Randy Moss is the typical NFL wide receiver. I mean, if I hear this guy cry one more time, I'm going to rip my ears out. Although that'd be kind of hard to rip your ears out, but you get the
just
point.
rip them off.
I mean, he was doing this whole passive-aggressive thing where he's sitting there complimenting Belichick and the Patriots team and coaches and everything, and that's basically a very roundabout way saying that I'm not happy with the play calling in Minnesota, which is just crap. If you don't like, number one, you shouldn't air your dirty laundry in public, and number two, if you have a problem, bring it up with the source. Don't do this passive-aggressive nonsense where you're hinting at the fact that you don't like something. So, really, I'm not a Randy Moss guy. I never have been. From his days from getting kicked around in Notre Dame to Florida State until to Marshall.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's been all over the map, and there's a reason why he gets kicked from place to place. Is because you can't tolerate him. But what we were mentioning before is surprised that Minnesota didn't even attempt to sort of get anything for him.
They didn't. Darren, how do you feel about that? Do you think that Childress? Oh, you're shaking your head at me already. Well, what do you have to say about this?
Like, I mean, it just seemed like, Childress made a bad call. Why would you trade for him for a third-round pick and then just dump him a month later?
Yeah.
Like, that's a waste of a third-round pick. Why don't you go to another team and try to get a third-round pick back?
Well, here's my thing. Randy Moss is incredibly difficult. Okay, we all have seen his press conferences. We've seen how he acts on the field, off the field. But is not Brett Favre as difficult as Randy Moss, but in a different kind of way? I mean, aren't they both troublemakers? So why is it that Childress hopped on a jet or whatever to go get Favre, but Randy Moss says whatever he says, and it's like, oh, let's get you out of here immediately? Like, why? Like, why the... What's up, Mo? Darren, Mo.
Go ahead, Mo.
I'm just thinking of how funny it would be if it was Randy Moss sending explicit pictures of himself. Brett Favre gets to get away with it, but if it was Randy, listen, I'm not a diehard Randy Moss fan or anything.
Totally, yeah.
But I'm, there's something a little weird happening over there. All-American quarterback, kind of a thuggish wide receiver. You gotta just throw everything on him. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. When you watch Favre, you get the feeling, like he said this past week, which I love this quote. He's in it to win it. That he said himself. I kind of like that. He's in it to win it, and you kind of get that feeling, whether you like Brett Favre or not. You get the feeling that he's in it to win it.
Well, I don't want to cut you off, but you said a quote. It's just funny because the Randy Moss quote of the week was "one and done." That was the I'm one and done. That was his, and you're saying I'm in it to win it. I guess that describes the
exactly. And so here, exactly, that says it perfectly. Randy Moss is more about. It was very clear he wanted to go to a team that would highlight his abilities for a contract next year.
True.
And that screams one and done, and I'm in it for me. Whereas Brett Favre, I think he does get that give off that selfish vibe, but it's more like he's sacrificing himself to win for his team.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think that's the big difference between the two.
Totally. And I think why Brett Favre is way more valuable than Randy Moss is Brett Favre's a leader. Randy is not.
Randy's a troublemaker.
Yeah, who's going to follow Randy? But Brett Favre,
You're right.
Well, what I understand is like you said, is they give up a third-round pick, and then now they're getting nothing in return. The Vikings. I mean, what did they think they were getting?
It's a waste.
Do they think that Randy Moss has changed? That he had some epiphany, and that he's reformed and a team player? The fault lies with the teams for this. Someone else is going to give him another chance.
That brings me up to a great point. Where does he go? What team could he possibly help?
I don't know about that, but he's not the only one who's on waivers right now. We have Shawn Merriman, who also was released by the Chargers. Where will he go? Where will Shawn Merriman go, if anywhere?
Well, for I don't digress here, but they're saying for Most of the teams that are looking at him is the Titans, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Dolphins, and the Redskins. I think he'd be a great fit with McNabb, personally.
It'd be interesting, and I think the Dolphins would be a good fit for him as well. I mean, the Dolphins are lying in the weeds for a wild card. They could use a deep threat there. I think a lot of those teams could definitely benefit from his skills, but you just sort of have to know how to control him. And when he was playing with Chris Carter and Dante Culpepper, and they had that PlayStation offense that would just keep him happy by heaving it up to him and sort of giving it me. That was the way of controlling it. But not many NFL teams do that, drop back and heave it offense anymore.
Good point.
So we got a disgruntled Randy Moss, a disgruntled Shawn Merriman, I'm sure, being released from the Chargers today. What about Jerry Jones and the Cowboys? I mean, I know you guys told me last week, why do we keep talking about the Cowboys? But I think it's kind of honorable that Jerry Jones actually took it upon himself to apologize to the fans and basically say, we suck and I'm sorry.
Well, he owes the fans an apology. This is his mess. I mean, this is his mess right here. He's a meddling owner. He's basically the GM of that team. He has no business being the general manager of that team, and that's basically the role he's playing. He hired Wade Phillips. He stuck with Wade Phillips for that long. Wade Phillips is basically Norv Turner's twin. He's a great coordinator, couldn't coach his way out of a box.
Totally.
He looks like a bumbling buffoon on the sidelines. He always looks confused.
Yeah, he does. He looks very confused. He looks very uninterested in everything that's going on. I'm over Wade Phillips. I'm over the Cowboys, as is everyone, though. So that's nothing new. Mo, what do you feel about the Cowboys and Jerry Jones?
They're a big disappointment right now, but I'm just curious, what's the psyche of the coach? Like, what happens when you have that kind of record? How do you keep the team motivated? What do you do? What do you say? I'm just really curious of what's going through his mind right now.
See, I honestly don't think he's a motivator. I don't think he has any interactions with that team with the team whatsoever, other than he basically excuses everyone on that team. He's a very friendly, grandfatherly type guy.
Yeah,
don't worry about it. You'll get him next time, son. He's one of those types of guys. He's not going to light a fire. He's not going to change the way he coaches. He's just not a leader of men. He's a schemer. He's a schemer, and he should never be wearing the head coach's headsets ever. Neither should Norv Turner. Look at the situation both of them stepped into. Norv Turner replaced Marty Schottenheimer, who was a great leader. Yeah. Wade Phillips replaced Bill Parcells, who was a great leader, and neither of them are themselves great leaders. They can sort of ride someone else's talent, and they can drop good plays in the sand. But when it comes to running a football team, they just can't do it.
What about college football? I know this is, really kind of off kilter from NFL, but how about Oregon jumping Auburn in the BCS? I mean, you guys know how we feel about that, Cody and I, but Darren and Mo, how do you feel about Oregon jumping Auburn in the BCS polls? Auburn's undefeated, as is Oregon. Oregon's strength of schedule is not as difficult as Auburn's, but yet Oregon's number 1, Auburn's number 2. How do you guys feel?
Well, I'm a big SEC fan compared to Oregon and the whole shebang. I think it's a tougher conference by leaps and bounds. And if they played each other, I think Auburn would destroy them. I think LSU would destroy them. I think Alabama would destroy them. That's just my.
Darren.
I agree. Oregon, I think, is my number 1 team for the year.
So Oregon is your number 1 team, considering they've played who? Arizona State. I don't know. They played Portland State, somebody like that. I mean, how is that your number 1 team? How can you justify that?
Well, just watch at the end of the season.
Okay.
All right, they'll definitely get to a bowl game. But I think one thing that they showed the other day was USC's over the hill. And they're going downhill quickly.
But USC is not good this year either.
This is true.
So
they lost everybody, I think. No good coaching, no leadership on that team whatsoever. But Oregon's just a strong, well-oiled machine. I think that you put them up against Auburn, I bet Oregon wins.
Oh, I'm sort of with you. I think Oregon is a good team. I really think they have a really good offense. Mm-hmm. And if you get into a track meet with them, I don't think anyone in the country, including Auburn, can keep up with them in a track meet.
Okay.
Now, it's interesting because, 2 years ago, we were saying the same things about Oklahoma. They had that PlayStation type offense. No one could stop them. They get to the game against Florida, and Florida shuts them down.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see, and until someone beats an SEC school in the championship game, I'm not going to buy it. Now, the more interesting thing about the BCS polls is because really doesn't matter who's 1 or who's 2. That's just going to determine if Oregon gets first pick at wearing, whatever pinkish, yellow, blue, gold, whatever uniform they're going to wear. If the season ended today, Boise State, which is second in the AP poll and I think 4th or 5th in the BCS poll, would not be in a BCS game because TCU is ranked higher than them. They would get the automatic qualifier to the Rose Bowl, and Pittsburgh, who is unranked but now currently leading the Big East, would get the bowl bid over Boise State. So that's why
it's a mess. It's just completely crazy.
It is, and that's why I love the BCS.
Well, the bowl games are whack.
They're not whack. Dude.
They are whack.
They're not whack.
They produce a lot of money.
Exactly.
It's like the whole fanfare of having multiple Super Bowls. But let's be honest, there isn't a clear winner every year.
Well, no, absolutely not. But they're not. The NCAA doesn't sanction a national champion. They're not in the business of crowning a national champion. They're in the business of making money,
Why
and they do
not,
that really
though?
well.
Like they do it with basketball.
That we can. Why does the NCAA crown a champion? Because they like the money that they get from the bowls and the media and all.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much all the media.
I mean, it's a lot about money.
Like the Tostitos Bowl. Like what the hell is that?
Exactly, but like I said, they're not in the business of crowning a national champion. They're in the business of generating profits, and they do that really well. So until you start turning off the television sets and stop watching these bowl games, they're going to continue.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? Last year was the highest by far ratings for bowl season ever.
Have they done any sort of analysis to see if it was a 24-team playoff, like the top 25 teams, like March Madness almost in a sense, and they carried over to football, the amount of revenue that would be generated or anything?
I don't think they have, just because physically the guys could not go through that kind of, I guess, rigorous game schedule at the end of the year. I mean, it's just impossible.
But I mean, I know they've looked at it from
it'd be an extra 4 games, right? Basically 4 or 5 games, if you qualify like that, yeah.
Right. So the challenge is filling the butts in the seats at the remote sites. You know, asking college fans to travel from here to here to here when it's not their home stadium. That's the challenge.
Well, I hate to say, guys, but Cody and I were wrong about last night's Monday Night Football game. Was it me and Cody, or was it who agreed with me saying that the Texans
Probably
would win?
Cody.
Yeah,
Cody. Did you agree with me last week about the Texans?
I said the Texans were going to beat the Colts.
I really thought that the Texans would.
Both of you.
Yes,
did you laugh at me?
Yeah.
That's not very nice. I really thought the Texans would win again, as they did in Week 1, but the Colts came to play despite not having Dallas Clark, despite not having, who else did they not? They didn't have Collie. I mean, Indiana pulled out the stops. Peyton Manning found his receivers. He found other targets. They won, and they won a very impressive, decisive win.
No, they handle their business, and watching that Colts offense is like watching a well-oiled machine. They really are buttoned up, and they're very sort of mechanical about the way they go about their business. It was impressive because of, like you mentioned, the injuries the Colts had. And once again, they still have not been swept in their division. This is just sort of the class of the AFC year in and year out, along with the Patriots.
Darren, were you impressed or surprised, or did you think the Texans were going to come back and rally?
No. Peyton Manning. That's what I said last week.
So you're saying that Peyton Manning can carry the entire team regardless of who's injured? It's his team regardless.
As long as Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, it's all good.
It's funny because probably, what was it, I guess 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, the whole talk was about how Peyton Manning couldn't win a big game. Now everyone is like, he's the big game quarterback. He never won one at Tennessee, he never won a big game at Tennessee in college. He never got over the hump in the NFL, and now he's like the guy that you want. It's just funny how a couple games can change your perception of someone.
What's interesting is I was talking to a friend of mine is, what do you think about when eventually, way down the road, Peyton Manning is a coach?
Do you think Peyton Manning will ever be a coach?
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, can you imagine how sick that, like, the guy is like the professor? That's what his nickname is?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. Just we were talking about it. It's just going to be nasty.
That will be a beautiful offense to watch. That'll be great.
I really feel that Peyton Manning is going to be one of those guys who just kind of sits back and does his awesome commercials and, cheers for
Saturday Night Live appearances. Yeah.
Exactly. I really don't see him taking that coaching position. I just feel like he'll bow out gracefully, and we won't hear from him again on that. Maybe he'll commentate. Maybe he'll do, the commentating position. I don't see him as a coach at all.
Oh, I do. I do. He's got that brain that just, is just can't get away from college football. I mean, from football in general. I'm talking about my brain now. But they sort of can't get away from that football mindset. I'm positive he'll end up being a coach.
Now, were we disappointed in Matt Schaub's performance, or were we expecting him to be sacked as many times as he was? Like, what do we expect from the Texans that we did not see?
That's the thing. I think the offensive line didn't show up. You know, he went down too much. And the thing is, you look at his numbers, and he was 22 of 38. Now, on the surface, that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But when Matt Schaub is asked to throw when he's asked to throw the ball that many times, that's a red flag for the Texans.
That's true.
He's not the type of quarterback you want throwing 38 times. And like I said, he had a good line, 22 of 38, 201 yards, 1 touchdown. But the sacks were a problem, and just the fact that he had to throw that many times, that's an issue. That's the issue for the Texans.
I would agree.
Darren,
you're
you're
smirking back
feeling
there.
it over there.
I don't know, because like they've got good receivers on that team. They just weren't catching the ball. They need to learn how to throw underneath better, in my opinion.
I agree. I can agree with that.
Like nowadays in football, throwing underneath is how you get up the field. It's the most effective offense in football right now.
Unless you do it every single time, like the Florida Gators, which drives me insane. But you're right. You have to have. But I think Schaub's a manager of the game as opposed to sort of like, you know, calling audibles at the line and recognizing those underneaths when the first and second options aren't open. I think he's just got to be the type of guy who relies on the play action and relies on a solid running game. And when he's playing from behind, you know, I'd like to see. I don't have it in front of me, but how the Texans have done when they've been losing it after like the first quarter. Because I just don't think. I think if the Texans get behind, they're just not equipped to sort of come back big. You know, from a big or even a mid-sized deficit.
Well, speaking of coming back, Donovan McNabb did not get the opportunity to have his team come back against the Lions on Sunday. He was benched. He was benched for the 2-minute drill. According to Shanahan, he does not know the terminology to be able to run the 2-minute drill effectively. And today was a different story. Today he said that McNabb did not have the cardiovascular endurance to be able to run the 2-minute drill, and Rex Grossman does. Come on, guys. What happened Sunday with the Redskins and the Lions?
Well, it doesn't look good for Donovan McNabb. And the thing is, the thing is, you keep hearing these stories about Donovan McNabb, and at first we wrote it off as Terrell Owens is in the wrong, then Andy Reid was in the wrong. But like, you know, you get this, you hear this story enough that he's out of shape, and you know, you start to wonder if he's like the Shaquille O'Neal of the NFL and just, you know, can't run up and down the field. You know, he was puking during the Super Bowl. Maybe he just is out of shape, and it seems ridiculous because McNabb is a tremendous athlete.
Yeah, he is.
But you just hear that enough, and you start to believe it.
What do you think, Mo?
I'm a fan of McNabb.
Okay.
I think, you know, he's doing better with the Redskins than any other quarterback they could have found. Yeah, they're in contention.
Have you seen Jason Campbell? What he's been doing for the Raiders?
Dude, I'm not a fan of Jason Campbell.
Dude, I don't watch Oakland Raiders football.
No, but anyways, I mean, but going to your point, they actually showed the passer rating for Donovan McNabb in the 2-minute drills. I think he had the 3rd worst passer rating in the NFL going into this in 2-minute drills. So you can understand where the coach is coming from, but then at the end of the day, how do you take your quarterback out that's been playing
How do you do that?
How do you do that?
Yeah.
That's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
Well, my thing is, whether or not it's true that he's out of shape, I feel like Shanahan is acting emotionally. I feel like he was upset with Donovan McNabb about something. We don't know what it could have been. And I feel like he was like, okay, I'm pulling him out of the game. I'm going to show him. I'm going to assert my authority. And that's what I feel like happened. Now, I feel like if you want to, you know, be the coach who says, my quarterback is not in shape, he doesn't know the terminology, do that, but do it within reason. Like, don't get on the podium and go from he doesn't know the terminology to he's out of shape. Like, he's mincing words from day to day. And I just don't feel like we're getting a straight answer from Shanahan. That's my problem with the situation.
And no matter what the reason is, what you've said to your team is, I don't have confidence in your leader on the field. Your leader in the field, I don't have confidence in, and that's a huge blow to the psyche of that team. And they've sort of reacted the same way.
Oh yeah.
But you know, it's now who is my guy on the field?
I hope it's not Grossman.
It's going to be McNabb, but that's going to be my next question. What happens if Grossman would have won that game?
Wow.
What would have happened then?
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, do you start, I don't know, living in hypotheticals here, but just...
Darren, how do you feel about McNabb? Are you a McNabb fan, or do you don't like McNabb? Okay, that was a really quick answer.
Well, like, I mean...
You're really quick over here with these smirky answers tonight.
McNabb, I mean, he's getting
Take him
old.
or leave him?
He's getting old.
Okay.
I think that's one, why he's shown he's kind of out of shape. And two, I feel as if, like, his superpowers of being a good quarterback left when he left Philly. Like, I think it's kind of over for him. He's on his way out.
Well, he was wearing out his welcome in Philly. I mean, here's a guy who was booed when it was announced that he was going to Philadelphia and sort of won respect from that crowd, from the fan base. but then he was just wildly inconsistent at times. You know, he'd wow you with his footwork and his and a couple games here, and
he'd get you to the playoff and tease you with a potential Super Bowl win, and then it was over. Over.
I don't think Donovan McNabb is a great quarterback.
Okay.
I think he's a good quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback.
Okay, that's fair.
You guys are haters, man. I mean, it's just coming here week after you guys name these players and just hate on them. It's like
I can admit that I hate on the Oakland Raiders, but this past weekend couldn't hate on them. They blew out the Broncos. How is it that in our lifetime we saw the Raiders blow out anyone? What's going on up there in Oakland? Who's an Oakland fan in here? Darren raises his hand.
How many teams do you have? Wait, Saints, Jersey,
Pats are number one.
Okay.
I love the Saints. I love the city. No team needs it more. That's why I was a Saints fan last year.
Okay.
And then Raiders. That's pretty much it for me.
Okay. Just we have that all.
Yeah.
So you're not going to walk in with like a Bucks jersey next week or something?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Hey, which wouldn't be a bad idea.
Hey, I'm a Bucks fan since the creamsicle days, so we're the worst 5-2 team in the history of the NFL as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
Okay, but Oakland guys, what is the secret weapon in Oakland? How are they getting it done? I'm impressed.
Magic.
Jason Campbell, is he a magician now?
Maybe.
Look, they're playing in a very weak conference.
Okay.
And historically, the past 2 years, past 3 years, the Chargers have benefited from that weak division.
That's
they've started
true.
out slow and they've come back strong to take control of that division. The only thing different this year is you have a little bit more contention from the teams like the Raiders and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And I think that the Raiders are just basically benefiting from having being in a weak division. And they've had talent. They got like 4 top 5 draft picks in a row, so they have talent.
But the Seahawks have talent too, so you can't just dismiss the Raiders' win to playing weak teams though, because the Seahawks they've dominated this year. Well, they've done better than average this year.
They're in the NFC West. I mean,
They're I don't know. I just feel like the Raiders got a very impressive win.
Out on the West Coast, those Teva wearing foo-foos don't know how to play football, and everyone should. I'm just kidding.
You're funny.
Well, how about your team, Mo? Your team, San Francisco. They won with Troy Smith.
We represent internationally.
Oh, internationally. It took going to London for San Francisco to get a win. A second win.
We got Troy Smith. We're riding with Smith now. He's the main man. So listen, we got to win with him. So let's just keep it going. Why change it?
So is Alex Smith out, you think, for the season, or?
Well, he's not playing this week.
Okay.
That's what at least the news said today. They said Singletary said he's going with Troy Smith. They're going to keep riding with him. Like, why not? You got to win. I mean, heck yeah.
But do you think winning one game like that is enough reason to start someone who hasn't really done anything since he won Heisman 4 years ago?
When you're as bad as the
when you're doing as bad, we were expected to go to the NFC Championship game. When you're as bad as we are, you do whatever. To change the tides, to do,
ride the hot hand when you're that bad.
Yeah, exactly. You want to get some wins. This guy's fighting for his job right now, which is unfortunate because he put it on the line for Alex Smith.
He did. Well, Brett Favre, your favorite quarterback to talk about, got hurt again. This time it wasn't an ankle injury. It was a facial laceration. Oh, is he playing again this week? Is he healthy enough to play, or is he going to be out? Will Tavares Jackson, even though you guys do not like him, will he be able to start this weekend?
Well, I think Favre's fine. He was fine even at the press conference afterwards. He basically just opened up an existing cut. So I mean, he's gonna be fine. He took a hard hit.
He looked pathetic on the little go-kart.
Yeah, he was in the fetal position.
He was like this. I was like, oh my God, you're a 50-year-old man. Come on, man up.
Someone should have came and draped some Wranglers over him, covered him up.
That was gonna
tucked him in with some Wranglers.
Do you sometimes feel like he's somewhat of like a drama queen?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, thank you for saying that.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I get upset because we've dedicated more airtime to Brett Favre on this show than anything else. And it's just like, he's irrelevant at this point.
Let's do a Brett Favre
before we
boycott.
stop talking about him, this totally could have been avoided if he had a better chin strap. But he wears that one that's like literally just like a piece of canvas.
Right.
Like, I mean, you actually have some padding on there. That cut doesn't happen. He doesn't come out of
Well, he's a superhero. He's supposed to be able to endure those kind of knots.
Yeah, but you take a helmet to the chin. That's gonna hurt.
That thin piece of fabric is made out of Wrangler jeans.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So I mean, there is some magic in that there strap.
That's pretty hilarious. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend. I mean, of course he'll start, but will Jackson get some more snaps? We'll see. Steelers versus Saints. You guys, I was wrong. Darren was right. That's all I have to say about that.
That's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
I was wrong too.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We were rolling together.
Yeah, we were right there. They were going to kill him.
Why? What is the fascination with the Steelers? I don't get that.
I mean, dude, Roethlisberger came back the week before. He was on fire. It's just the team was coming together. They had a great record. I mean, what do you mean? What's the fascination? The proof? What is the proof in the pudding? Like, I mean,
I don't think a Steelers team is like half as good as people think they are.
Yeah, they're missing that receiver threat. They'd be better with Santonio Holmes and Hines Ward. Yeah, the Mike Wallace is not doing it for them like they expected to. I saw passes going to, I forget the receiver's name. A third receiver, damn it. Yeah, they're not as potent as they were, basically, and I'm still not counting them out. Still think they're one of the top 6 or 7 football teams in the NFL.
Wow, 6 or 7? Yeesh. So long way from number 1. But speaking of football, let's go to Saturday football, college football. How about Florida State losing to North Carolina State? Cody, what was your pick on the Florida State-North Carolina State game?
I believe I picked North Carolina State on that. I knew that Thursday night game was dangerous for Florida State, and I just love the way that Florida State lost that game because all Christian Ponder had to do was take that freaking snap and snake his way into the end zone. They had that game in the bag.
They did.
And
and then fumbled it.
Just to see him drop that snap.
That was horrible.
Brought this huge early Christmas present smile to my face. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
I mean, were you shocked, Darren? Did you watch the game?
I didn't watch that game, but you're going against your team?
No, Florida State.
Florida State.
He's a Gator.
Not the Gators.
They're in the swamp.
It was funny because I got to use my favorite line, which is basically I went to see my sister who lives in Tallahassee, and she asked if I know how to get there, and I was coming from South Florida. I'm like, yeah, you just go north till you smell it, and west till you step in it. So, that's anytime I get to see the Florida State Seminoles fall is a good week for me. So.
How about the unbeatens falling this weekend in college football? We had Michigan State and Missouri both fall. I mean, I think I picked the wrong teams on both of those games as well, but I mean, I'm not really surprised. I mean, the unbeatens have gone week to week to week and just keep falling like dice or dominoes, whatever. I guess dice don't fall, they roll. So they've been falling like dominoes. What's going on? What happened in Michigan State?
Well, I went 50. I split on this one. I took Iowa and I took Missouri to beat Nebraska.
Okay.
So I wasn't surprised that Michigan State lost to Iowa. What I was really surprised was the manner in which they lost. That game was.
They got blown out.
And both of these teams, Michigan State and Missouri, got crushed.
Yeah.
And the thing was, is Michigan State was sort of riding a fairy tale story.
They were.
And with their coach having like 14 heart attacks before like breakfast.
I don't think it was 14 heart attacks. I think it was like 2.5.
So, but they had a really good story. And I said this last week. They were having sort of the story that Iowa was having last year until they lost to Northwestern. And they just didn't have an elite team. Their quarterback is serviceable, not wonderful, and they just didn't have anything to sustain them through a full season to do that. Now, like I said, I'm shocked in the way they lost. Same thing with Missouri. I was really surprised that Missouri lost to begin with. I did pick that Texas upset over Nebraska a couple weeks back, which started one of those dominoes which you talked about. And I just really thought that Nebraska was an overrated team. Their only really good win until the Missouri win, and it wasn't even a very good win, was the win over Washington, which they basically manhandled Washington. Now, Washington really hasn't done anything all season. So I was basically thinking that Nebraska was an empty team. And Missouri looked really impressive the week before, both on offense and defense against Oklahoma.
They looked amazing. But then again, Oklahoma is really not a strong team is what we're finding as the season progresses. Like, they are not the team that we thought they were either. So just because Missouri looked good against Oklahoma doesn't mean that they're a good team, because Oklahoma's subpar this year, I think.
It's interesting. And Gabbert, Missouri's quarterback, really got shut down. And he's a type of quarterback who doesn't really get shut down. That Nebraska defense came to play. And Nebraska's quarterback, Martinez, who had a terrible game against Texas, came back and had a solid performance against Missouri. So it's just, week to week, it's interesting. It's like a game of survival this year on the field.
I know we talked a little bit earlier about Oregon beating USC at USC, but I just have to say again, I'm not surprised. Again, USC, Darren, no matter how fascinated you are with USC, I must say. Oh, you're not fascinated with USC?
No.
Oh, okay.
I called Oregon for that game.
Oh, okay.
And they doubled the spread.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was like,
and that's the crazy thing is USC was leading in the third quarter, and they still lost by double the spread.
Yeah.
That was the crazy thing.
Yeah.
Is that if you even take your pinky off the gas against Oregon, you're going to get run over.
Yeah.
They're just that explosive. And, like I said last week, this was USC's season. This is all they had to play for, really. So I wasn't surprised to see him hang with USC, but it played out exactly like I thought it would. they'd hang with it for a long time until they just basically couldn't keep up with Oregon anymore, and then Oregon was just going to roll.
Yeah, Oregon, I mean, I love their uniforms, love their uniforms, and I love their offense. And I love that they beat USC because I'm not a USC fan. All right, guys, well, let's move to some high school highlights of the week. So we here at This Week in Football, we've decided that it's time to showcase some of the amazing talent that has been found in the high school level. So this week, we're going to look at Christian Lemay. He's a quarterback. Let's look at some of his highlight film. So Christian is number 12. You can see him very clearly right now. He's getting ready to hand off or pass. Oh, there he is. Okay, so Christian Lemay, he's from North Carolina. He's a little lighter than I think they list him, but he has really long arms. He looks a little bit like a point guard, I think, according to the scouting report. He needs to add about 15 pounds of muscle mass, also says the scouting report.
Oh.
See something you like, Darren?
Yeah, that receiver pulled a hell of a cut.
It's supposed to be about Christian. This is Christian's show.
Seems like he's got good receivers. That's all I'm saying.
Well, hey, that helps. That helps a lot. Also, according to the scouting report, Christian does a great job of accuracy, and he can beat you with his feet and with his arm. Now, of course, Christian has committed to Georgia, has loosely committed to Georgia, which I think is interesting, especially because Aaron Murray, who's a redshirt freshman, is a quarterback at Georgia right now, and with Christian Lemay being a junior, entering his senior year actually, he's a senior, he'll be graduating in May of next year. I don't know if Georgia's going to have a starting position for him. So, I don't know, what do you think? What do you think, Cody?
Well, I mean, I like the fact that he committed to Georgia, even though that Murray is the quarterback there. That shows basically that, you know, I'm going to go to the school that best suits me, regardless of who's starting in front of me. That shows a lot of balls. I don't like when people change their mind and go to a different school because of who the current starter is. You know, if you're that good, beat them out on the field. Who cares who it is? You know, if you're that good, go there and beat them out. And I really like the fact that he did that. Now, he's got a size advantage, a height advantage.
A height advantage for sure, but he's really thin.
Yeah, he does look like he needs to put on some weight back there. It looks like, you know, a couple hits would put him in the Wrangler truck that we're talking about carrying Brett Favre off the field.
He and Favre together, knocked out. Well, we don't wish that on a high school football player, of course.
Just Brett Favre.
just Brett Favre. But I do like that he talks about really liking Coach Richt and his good moral values. And so he's really attracted to Georgia's football program because Coach Richt is a nice Christian guy, and he thinks that he could excel there, not only on the field, but also in the classroom, and be in a very good, positive environment.
The interesting thing is I don't think Richt will be there when he's there.
Oh, yes. Let's get rid of Richt. Don't get me started.
I don't think he'll be there at all. And by the way, I pulled up the numbers on him. He looks taller than 6'2", but he's 6'2", 195. So that is.
It's just that he's so skinny. Like,
yeah, I guess that is what it is.
It's probably like 6'2", like 177 pounds is what it is.
They weigh you sopping wet, you know, when you go for recruiting weigh-ins and stuff like that. Yeah. It's ridiculous because there's no official way to weigh in or anything like that until you get to the NFL. That's when they start doing it officially. So you see these guys, they're like listed as like 6'5", like 240 in college, and then when they get to the pro team, they're like 6'3", 210. Some of the numbers are ridiculous how much they change from the college to just the pro level.
So from what you've seen quickly, you played college football a little bit, so what do you think, besides gaining weight, Christian Lemay can most improve on?
Well, you know, I think he's a great athlete.
Okay.
And I watched a little bit of his tapes outside of this, and he basically, I think he needs to work on his decision making. And at the high school level, for a quarterback, that's not too unheard of. Yeah. But when you're going to the SEC, you know, you don't want to be a strict take the play and run that play. You've got to be smart enough to recognize defenses and make decisions on the fly like that. And I think that's something that comes with going through reps at the college level, getting some experience. And I don't think there's anything in his resume that says he can't do that. But along with just putting on some weight, I think he just needs to have a little bit more of a self-thinking persona to be able to carry him at that SEC level.
It'll be interesting to see if he actually stays with his Georgia decision. So we will see.
Especially if Mark Richt leaves.
Well, he did say in one interview that if any major coaching changes happen, that he will not go to Georgia. So maybe he will take back that commitment. Maybe he won't be going to Georgia. Probably wouldn't be in his best interest anyway. But moving on to college games for this upcoming weekend, what about number 3 TCU facing number 5 Utah? That's one of the big games this weekend. What do you think, Cody?
So TCU is the highest. I mean, like I said, if the season ended today, they'd be going to the Rose Bowl.
Of course,
they're the highest automatic qualifier or non-AQ school in the BCS ranking, and they've looked really solid. They've had impressive wins. They waxed Baylor. They beat Oregon State. So they actually have a pretty impressive resume for wins. Now here's Utah coming off of a less than stellar performance against Air Force.
Barely beating them.
And historically, Utah does struggle against Air Force. But I see this game as a repeat of last year when TCU pretty much manhandled Utah.
Why don't you take that as your pick for the... I'm just curious.
Trust me.
Okay.
Rice is gonna.
I was just curious. It would have been easier for me to find this on TV than the other games. So.
Okay.
What is the line on that game? Go ahead.
I'm curious.
So check the line on that game, Cody. And I'm going to talk about Oklahoma, number 8, Oklahoma, at Texas A&M. I'm feeling an upset coming with Texas A&M. I mean, again, I've said it before. I don't think that Oklahoma was ever a solid number 1 team. Of course, now they've dropped down to number 8. I feel like they could even be more of a number 22 team than a number 8 team. And once Texas A&M, I hear you over there, Darren. What you think?
I'm with you.
Are you agreeing with me?
Yeah, no.
Very good.
I don't think Oklahoma's like a number 22. I think they're definitely higher than that.
Okay.
But no, I definitely look for Texas A&M to take this one.
I do too. I mean, I really feel like Texas A&M has nothing to lose. Oklahoma has everything to lose, and Oklahoma's a little bit overrated. Number 8 is a really, really high ranking for a team that, again, I perceive to be more of a number 22 ranked team.
It's interesting because Texas A&M needs a big win. They need a big win. Mike Sherman needs a big win. He's a coach on the hot seat. At a school that's been in flux since R.C. Slocum got bumped out. So they really do need a big win here. And I think Oklahoma will win this game, but I think it will be pretty close. And to jump back to TCU and TCU and
the Horned Frogs and the Utes.
Utah is actually 4.5 dogs at home.
Wow.
So that's always like I keep saying, it's always a red flag when you're home dogs and you're a good team. But I think TCU is I think they've got the Utes number.
I'm gonna hedge my bet.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take TCU.
All right.
I'm gonna get on it.
Okay. Another really big game is number 6 Alabama at number 10 LSU. This has
Auburn. Yeah.
I thought it was Alabama. Auburn and LSU played a couple weeks ago. I think it's written wrong.
Yeah, you are right. You're absolutely
right.
You're absolutely right.
It's Alabama at LSU.
Good call.
Good call, yes. So this has huge implications for national title games, for SEC championship game. LSU, Les Miles, we know how they like to do. Enough said. Alabama, I think they drag LSU. Even though LSU is actually playing at home this weekend, I think Alabama has this one all day long.
I totally agree with you. I think that Alabama just really matches up very well with LSU. They have the ability to grind it out and sort of just wear LSU down. LSU is really in flux at quarterback, so Alabama's not questionable defense, but any weak spot they do have on defense, they'll have a chance to solidify that. They're not going to get run on by LSU.
Oh, totally not.
I just don't see any way that LSU actually has Alabama outmatched in this game. And on defense, you can see Ingram and Richardson having huge games against that LSU defense. LSU's been a weird team this year.
They have been. They've had a weird coach as well. some weird play calling going on over there in the Bayou. So we're gonna go with Alabama, guys, right? Mo, Darren, are we in agreement?
I'm rooting for LSU. I'm not a big guy. I don't like Alabama.
I don't like Alabama at all. No,
you just call him Nick Saban? Halloween's over. His name is Nick Saban again.
I'm from Miami.
By the way, Vegas likes Alabama in that one too. LSU is 6.5-point dogs at home. So.
I don't know if it'll be that much of a spread.
I think Alabama will wax LSU.
Really? Okay.
I really do.
I think so too. I think they're going to wax, but I'm rooting for, your mind tells you one thing, but your heart goes the other.
Yeah.
I have no heart. I'm just kidding.
Gator, typical.
Gators don't have hearts. I mean, come on.
I have a black heart. No, I'm just kidding.
So one more big college game to look forward to this weekend. We have number 12 Missouri at Texas Tech. What do we think, guys?
Well, it's interesting. Texas Tech's this team where sort of they had a lot of drama last season with the Mike Leach fiasco. They brought in a pretty high-profile coach in Tommy Tuberville, but you haven't really heard much about him since the Texas game. They've really been pretty quiet. They've had an average year, and Missouri comes in there licking their wounds after Nebraska.
Yeah.
I can see Missouri dropping this one, too.
Really?
Absolutely.
I'm with Cody on that one.
Okay.
I seriously think that Texas Tech could pull this one out.
So we're going to say Texas Tech upsets Missouri, as does Texas A&M upsets Oklahoma? That's what we're saying?
Texas teams.
Okay, Texas. It's going to be a good weekend for Texas, as opposed to last weekend with the Texans losing and the Cowboys losing and Texas losing. So
yeah, I think we're going to get back to sort of like a normal curve this week for a little bit.
Okay. Well, let's move on to some NFL games for this weekend. I'm really looking forward to the Tampa Bay Atlanta game. 2 5-2 teams, NFC tied for the NFC South. I can't call it. I mean, I honestly cannot call it. It could go either way. I think Tampa Bay is energized. I think Atlanta's more experienced. So with that being said, I am going to plead the fifth and let you guys take it away.
Well, that's you guys, right? You're Tampa Bay, you're Atlanta, isn't that?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah. Here we go again.
You don't want to go
I owe you some push-ups.
Yeah, you owe me push-ups
and I will do them. Hey, I'm not a sore loser. I will do the push-ups. I didn't forget about the push-ups.
Right, of course you didn't forget about the push-ups. You're like hoping nobody brings it up as if you were thinking.
I remembered. So, I mean, what do you think, Mo, for Atlanta and Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay is at Atlanta, both 5-2 teams. I mean,
you said it best. Would you say it's the worst 5-2 football team you've ever seen for Tampa Bay?
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I like Atlanta. I just think they're gonna overpower them. Tampa Bay is one of those Cinderella things, similar to what we were talking about in Michigan State. I don't know how they're winning. It doesn't make any sense to me, but they're doing it. I just think Atlanta's gonna come in there. They're more talented, and they're gonna romp them. Michael Turner rushes for 140 yards and scores 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, as much of a Bucs fan as I am, they really have benefited from a weak schedule. You know, the scheduling favors weak teams in the NFL, so they've benefited from that. They've won some close games. I don't know how they managed to come back against Arizona.
So no luck. I mean, no faith in Freeman as a quarterback.
He's a serviceable quarterback. I'm still in wait and see mode with him. You know, he's shown some flashes. And he's shown some bad flashes, I guess you'd say. But I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt at this point. You know, when you're winning with him and LeGarrette Blount at running back, you can't really complain.
You can't complain at all. So Kansas City at Oakland. What do you think, Darren, for Kansas City at Oakland?
I'm gonna go with Kansas City on this one.
Okay.
I mean, Oakland played good last week, but I think against a team like Kansas City, no, they're not going to be able to hold up.
I'm going to say Oakland, and I might regret saying that, but I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say Oakland. I'm going to say Oakland. Jason Campbell, he's on fire. I mean, they also are very energized. Their fans, I mean, it's going to be great to be playing home in a stadium where the fans are already crazy. I mean, they had the 12th man on their side, so I'm going to say Oakland. Mo?
I'll take Kansas City on this one. I mean, it's just a smarter pick. I mean, Oakland
is
known
as a smarter pick.
So what are you trying to say, Mo? What are you trying to say?
It's just, you know, it's one of those things like it's hard to pick Oakland.
Yeah, it is. That was very hard for me to say. I'm not an Oakland fan. I don't care for Oakland Raiders fans. You know, that was very hard for me to say. Please believe me.
I just think Kansas City has more talent than that team.
Yeah.
It just depends if that talent shows up or
they
not.
Do.
You know.
But Oakland has some talent too, though. I mean, we're seeing it. We're seeing it all of a sudden.
They brought Jamarcus Russell. I read something today that they brought him to practice.
No, the Redskins worked out.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Darren, you should be a fan of the Chiefs. They're like the Kansas City Patriots. But you know, it's funny if you said at the beginning of the year that this game would actually be on our list of games to watch.
Yeah, I would have been like, you're a liar.
Isn't that crazy?
Like the Kansas City Chiefs at the Oakland Raiders is on the games to watch. That in itself is fascinating. I'm going with the Raiders.
Yeah, well, usually I like to watch like the two bad teams. Because, you know, sometimes that can be a great game. Like, you get two mediocre teams playing each other, it could be good football.
It could be, if not good, at least entertaining and funny. What about, this is a really big one, Indiana at the Eagles. Michael Vick is going to get his first start since his injury. And I'm going to I voted today. I did vote today. I'm going to go with my head on this one and say Indiana. I mean, Peyton Manning came out Monday night and showed us that even again without his weapons, without Dallas Clark, without all of his receivers, that he can still make it happen. I mean, like Darren said, he can be a one-man show if he has to, and he was last night. And I think that he will be that same one-man show again on Sunday. And I'll be really surprised if Michael Vick and the Eagles and Andy Reid can get a win, Even at home, I'll
Definitely
be surprised.
I'm going with definitely with Philly. Michael Vick. They're not prepared. They're not prepared for him. Michael Vick's a mobile quarterback.
Wait, you're going with Philadelphia beating the Colts?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, you guys are all taking. I think
that's an offense in pieces, man.
Wow, that's big.
Listen, I'm telling you, with offense in pieces, they had a bad week last week. I mean, it's just.
Yikes.
I'm telling you, LaShawn McCoy. They're not going to be sacking Vick like they were sacking Schaub. This past week. So
look for Vic to fumble like twice, and then they'll throw in Klopp.
I don't know that Vic will be fumbling, but I mean, I don't know that. I mean, I think he's improved so much as a quarterback, but I just don't think that he's ready to stand up to that Indiana defense. Like, he can run, he can outrun the guys. Yeah, true enough, but you can't win the whole game.
It's Dwight Freeney who's going to.
Yes, he's been killing people lately, like literally.
He can track
Not to mention Mathis, he's quick too.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's.
Watch, I'm telling you guys, watch. If they come after Rick, they're gonna throw the screen passes to McCoy.
I cannot wait to watch this game.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah, that's right, Mo. Indiana's a smarter pick, Mo.
They're playing at Philly. I mean, okay, we'll see.
I mean, we'll see.
Not gonna happen.
Either way, I'll be happy if Indiana wins because that means we're all right. But I'll be happy if Philly wins because I'm a Michael Vick fan. Whatever. Okay.
Indianapolis.
If Philly wins, Darren has to Cody has to chug a beer at the beginning of the.
At the beginning, because I have to drive home.
Yeah, exactly.
At the very beginning. Fine. If Philly wins, I'll chug a beer at the beginning of the show next week.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Deal.
Now, how about this last game to
I'm
look
only
out
18
for?
though, so that's
so you can't drink.
I'm drinking for you.
So that would be Darren.
Yeah.
Just kidding. How about Miami at Baltimore? What do we think about this game? I think.
Ooh.
I think I'm gonna say Ravens. And
this is like a tough pick. I don't know who to take on this one.
I really don't know either.
I think it's an easy pick.
Well, it's at Baltimore.
That's
at Baltimore.
The reason. That's the reason why I think it's an easy pick. I like the Ravens at home.
I'm more leaning towards Miami.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I just think that the offense is going to throw off the Baltimore defense, and I think that they're going to be able to make some things happen. I think it's going to definitely be like a close game.
Okay.
But I think Miami could definitely squeeze this one out. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but
you're kind of saying it's going to happen.
If the Dolphins win this game, it's going to be one of those disgusting 6-3 type games that I just can't stand.
Oh no! I think it's definitely going to be like around the 30s, like 27.
What? Really?
Yeah. You think they're
not
with
Baltimore.
30 on Baltimore?
Nobody's going to score 30 points on Baltimore.
Not the Dolphins. I think they have one of the worst offenses in the NFL. I mean, Dan Carpenter has more field goals combined in the last 2 weeks than the Dolphins have points.
Inventive. They're going to try out some trick plays. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy loss for Miami.
No.
Mo, what you got? Who you got?
I'm rooting for the Dolphins. I'm from Miami. I'm going to root for them, but I think.
What's the smart pick?
Baltimore. That's the obvious pick, right? I mean, but you don't know this year with the NFL, and I got Bolden on my fantasy, so I'm rooting for it.
And what is Vegas saying about that game? Do you?
I can bring that up. 1 minute, please.
1 minute, please.
But the line's at least a touchdown. I'm going to guess 10.
But they also gave 13 against the Buffalo against the Bills, and that was totally wrong.
Yeah, I think it could be 6.5. We're taking bets on what the spread is.
That's amazing. Yeah, 6.5.
Let's see. What do we got here? The line is Baltimore by 5.
Okay.
By 5. Wow. Okay. So we've got Cody chugging a beer.
I thought you were going to do push-ups on the table,
you know what?
On air.
I did not forget. I owe Cody push-ups. I lost the bet last week. I owe push-ups to Cody, and I do promise that I will do them. I'm not a sore loser, so push-ups coming from me next week. And not push-ups, but a beer chug spiked with vodka for Cody.
Wow, we're raising it.
For Cody next week when...
Wait, let's cut this off now before I end up drinking some angel dust or something. Let's make sure we get all the facts straight.
Michael Vick throws for 300 yards.
Exactly. So
I'll smoke some DMT, which. All right. Anyway.
We'll go there.
Nice.
Exactly. So you definitely got to tune in next week to see again if we are right or if Weaze is right as usual. And again, big thanks to Storm On Demand. They are the reason that you can watch This Week in Football. For all of your cloud computing needs, visit stormondemand.com for more information. Thanks, guys. You've been hanging with me, Erica, Darren Dodge in the chat room, Mo Ali, and Cody Swann. This is This Week in Football, and we will see you next week.